My family is pretty fucking ignorant. Even the smart ones were stupid.
We know.
Yeah,
You don't have to convince us, Andy.
yeah.
We're right there with you. I was in the Hyundai in Santa Fe, and I didn't realize that it is actually only 11:45 in the Hyundai right now. So that's why I was like, "Oh, you're calling me a half hour before we go live with technical problems? Isn't that Andy's job?"
But
Yeah.
even better, didn't you hear what I said to you when I said no? Actually, 9 minutes before
Yeah,
we go
I'm like,
live.
that's what I'm like. Well, fuck, I'm at the gas station. I got to get my
Oh,
I
you
gotta
weren't
get my
actually here.
chilada.
Shaylee's on Hyundai time. We can't be.
Are they? So we've got sponsors now. Awesome.
Well, I see you took your poster down.
I'm gonna go ahead and enjoy a nice cold Mexicola.
Not me.
Yeah.
I'm having a nice Bloody Mary with some of Joby's Spite Spice.
Oh, that looks good. It's like we're all doing live sponsored spots right now. I'm having a Bloody Mary as well.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, dudes. Pretty good launch for the podcast. Good responses. I've seen a lot of good questions.
Yeah.
No,
I've been-
it's funny that no one is actually concerned about Andy. They think it's all funny like us. It's
Yeah.
good.
I've been getting a lot of people bombarding me with like technical questions. Have you taken your headset out of the box? I say, you know, like plug it into one of them things that you plug shit into, man. Can't see her, but I got a Sheryl Crow cardboard cutout behind me now. Things are looking good. There you go.
Oh, I thought that was a Venetian blind.
Oh no, it's the
Oh, there it is.
that you should have checked the angle. Well, once again, no rehearsal, Andrist. Not even a dry run. It's completely it's a reflection. We're basically it looks almost like we're looking at a mirror.
Well, the record industry is dead. Don't put out any fucking vinyl unless you're mailing it directly, because there ain't gonna be no stores left. Yeah, there's a store here that's been here forever, and the old guy Skip, he was a surly cunt right till the bitter end. You know, I go, how much for that Elvis Costello? Everything's for sale, it says, and I says, how much for that Elvis Costello? And he goes, psh, that's not for sale. Well, goodbye, Skip, and goodbye, record industry.
Sometimes
Did you
the
say-
signs aren't representative of the
Sheryl
actual.
Sheryl Crow, as it turns out, was for sale for $7.
It's about right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to talk him down a little bit. It was 10. I went to 5. I paid 7.
Skip and I are both shocked that anybody would pay any amount of money for that. So good deal for Skip, it sounds like.
Yeah, he's telling a different story on the deal right now.
I just wanted the Elvis Costello to mock Inman because he would have wanted it.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been the get. The
Yeah.
Elvis Costello.
Actually, that would be a good get, and then you could actually give it to him, and he could have raving, crazy conversations with Elvis instead of us.
He
You
can
don't
yell at the Elvis Costello cutout to play Allison over and over. Come on, just play it. Just play it.
I've heard there's a fair amount of James singing Elvis Costello songs and weeping that goes on in his private space, which is no surprise. And then he calls us up in between cuts. He's a good dude.
Good man.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
glad
him.
he's around. I'm glad he's in Kansas City. It's a
Yeah.
good place.
I'm so glad it was. No, never mind.
Not glad.
Yeah, nah.
So, is there any other exciting news in anyone's life this week? I got a brand new laptop for video podcasting with.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You want to see it? It's right over there. There it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait.
so okay, so
Where?
take it out of that container and
Yeah.
plug it in. You might
there
not
you
be
go.
getting it.
You-
You might not.
You were
Look at
showing
that
us
son
a
of a-
notepad at first.
I
I
know,
thought you were
but-
being sarcastic. What happened? Why aren't you using it? What's the matter with
But
it?
the notepad is more useful at this point. That was my technical issue 9 minutes before fucking go time. It won't, for some reason, it quit connecting to my internet. So I got to figure it out.
Yeah, have you tried calling Shaylee ahead of time? That always
I
works.
thought with Shaylee's technical advice giving skills, 9 minutes before showtime would have been enough to deal with it. But little did I know that he was going to be.
I'll have you know that 9 minutes before showtime, my fucking advice was spot on. Hey, shut it down. Use the old computer. You got 3 other people waiting for you, and you don't want to be the andrist in this group. We already got one.
Yeah, that's why I didn't put up my backdrop. I was like, you guys got here 15 minutes before airtime. I don't even speak Spanish, so go back.
And he had a choice between the Sheryl Crow and his own poster, and he's like, oh.
Well,
Yeah.
the Sheryl Crow, I just lean up against the wall. The poster, I need at least 1 or maybe 2 push pins.
Yeah, I needed a poster board, and I hung those up over to the side. Yeah, it's a work. If it weren't a work in progress, we'd be anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah.
You know?
Why can I not see Andy?
I'm right here up in the. If you looked up in the corner here.
Andy,
Yeah, it just
tilt
says
your,
AA, but it might be my internet because we're in a storm. I've been losing Shaylee's
I
video.
think it is. I think it is because I have his beautiful
good.
visage perfectly in my screen.
Andy, tip your laptop towards you, the screen towards you a little bit, just so you get a little more centered. There you go. Right,
There
that's
it
good.
is.
Perfect. There you go.
All right. Okay.
Now remember
Now-
that.
All right. Hey, yeah, that's
Now
nice.
I've also lost Erickson, and now I'm just looking at a giant Greg Shaley on my screen.
That's
is-
me.
That's the monsoon. It's the monsoon season.
That's,
It is. I guess I can announce it here. I'm calling in for the final inspection on the addition here at the compound.
nice.
It's been a long 11 months, guys, for a 700 square foot
No, we can almost
one bedroom loft area.
Sorry.
The last time we were there talking about it, I fucking mentioned, I go, yeah, they just built an auto zone up by my house in a week and a half on an empty lot.
Yeah, I don't like to think of it as like we're finally done at 11. It's hey, you know what? Usually this would take 24 months. So I think mostly having to deal with me makes people either quit or hurry up and get done. So
Or disappear.
or that's fine too. So anyway,
when I lived at the other property I lived on Oakway Road, and then the properties next to us sold, and I had a
wait, this is in Portland, right?
No, in Eugene, but
I'm sorry.
I had a private yard, and then this guy sold these lots next to us, and there was going to be 5 homes that would look into my lot, and it's like, it just seemed like, okay, well, it's coming in the future. It's like and then one day I'm just out there masturbating in the backyard, and there's Mexicans out there framing homes. Like, wait a minute, when did these guys are up 50 feet above the fucking fence line now, and I guess my routine is over, or I've got to include them or work around them. But it was amazing, like all these homes were just up, it was like fucking, I was gone for 2 weeks, and I came back, and it was over. 5 fucking homes. So your project should have been over if you would have hired Mexicans. Don't they come right into don't they wander in?
That's interesting you say that, because we just got a new front door put on in the Black Knob place where Tracy and I live. And I got up this morning, and I go, everything cool, because the door is making some weird noises. And I go, what are you talking about? It's like, I don't know, the new door. And so I go to the door, and I'm standing. I've just got out of bed. I'm wearing a pair of Saks underpants, boxers. I open up the front door, and there's a Mexican fella there.
So the strange sound
On the steps.
door was making was Spanish.
He's
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó?
over my underpants, and this guy's standing. It's 8 a.m, and he's sitting there, and he's putting he's painting the trim on the door that we just had installed. And I said, "Oh, hi." And then I just I'm going to lock this, and I shut the door. I had no idea they were even going to paint. And sometimes they just wander in the area and start working.
Oh, I thought you were doing a read for Saks underwear. Those are the very fine underwear you have on, sir. These are Saks.
He was wearing his Saks, and he scared the Mexican off.
By the way, not a blink in that gentleman's eye. El hombre no disturbo. He had no qualms that a man opened the door and is there in his underpants. It was great.
I think the better Saks commercial would be where he sees you in your Saks and then drops his pants to show you his Saks. Hey, hermano!
And we'll do it kind of like a Bennington, like a Mentos commercial, like a very happy crappy.
But I think we're going to lose some of the demographic that say, hey, wait, Mexicans can afford the same underwear as a gringo?
It's a new America, dude.
Yeah.
No, now we are buying theirs.
Yeah. I've got my Go Sack on the other side of the border now.
I got to tell you though, and maybe this feathers in good with all this product placement. Chad, after you told me that Jenny bought you a bunch of sacks, I treated myself because I haven't bought any in a while. God damn it, those are the best fucking underpants out there. I mean, it's expensive. It's not cheap, but they are the fucking best.
Now I think you might secretly be doing live reads on this show.
You know, they're such good underwear. I don't even shart in them. If I'm gonna fart, let her rip. That and it feels at all juicy. I'm making sure I'm not in my sacks.
See, there you go. Testimonial.
In some Hanes, if my butthole itches in some Hanes, I just reach right up and dig around and scratch it with the underwear. But with Saks, I drop my pants and scratch it bare because I don't want to tear holes in my Saks underwear.
I keep a pair of Hanes in my back pocket, much like a handkerchief.
Scratch your ass
so when I need to scratch my ass, I just pull the fucking pants down, pull the Saks down, grab the Hanes, and and then I just drop them like a gentleman on the ground because someone else used that. They've just got a small little mark on them.
Sometimes they find their own way to Goodwill.
Like homing pigeons.
Yeah, they've seen enough and they walk out.
And I don't know if they have a lady line at Saks, but I'm a heavy bleeder from the diverticulosis. So if I'm having a bloody day, I don't even come near my Saks underwear. I go Calvin Klein red, and I just leave them around. I don't care about them, but I will not bleed in my Saks. All right. So
well,
good for
that one might work. We're gonna have to go with the suits on that one to find out because it doesn't. It sounds like you're a doctor when you talk about like that.
Yeah, I do it. Hey,
he's a doctor.
Except for when he mispronounced his own disease.
Diverticulosis.
I think it's called chancer, whatever. It's supposed to eat up my liver.
You have canker?
Yeah, my mom started me on that because she had macular degeneration or something like that. My family is pretty fucking ignorant. Even the smart ones were stupid.
We know.
Yeah.
You don't have to convince us, Andy.
Yeah.
We're right there with you.
Yeah, I'm the smart one.
Even Sheryl Crow is nodding.
Yeah. Well, she likes guys like Lance Armstrong that are fraudulent heroes, so I don't have that going.
So, not Andy, Erickson.
Yeah.
What's the schedule? I know you put out 2 podcasts already, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna put out a podcast every Friday, I think.
Okay.
So I want it to come out at the same time every week.
And there's a YouTube. There's gonna be YouTube because there's a channel.
It's YouTube right now. I was gonna talk to you guys at the end about this. Do you think?
No, I want everyone that's actually.
We're gonna keep it on YouTube just by itself for a while because I don't want to give people another way to consume it. I want to see how many people we can drive to YouTube. If we get up to a certain amount of minutes watched and a certain amount of subscribers, we can monetize the channel.
Ah.
All right, that's not what I want to talk about. I wanted
I
people
like
to
that
understand.
That was
Chris.
the question asked.
That's the ugly
So it's
side.
on-
That's
That
the
brings-
ugly side.
It'll be
That
on-
brings me to our unofficial sponsor, Cocaine Industries, providing
gonna say,
uplifting services since at least the 60s, right? I don't know. I didn't get involved with it. I was on the regular baby laxatives back then.
We'll need a pilot for flights to Colombia.
Oh, yeah. I'm working on getting one fired. So,
I just free time.
yeah.
Erickson, I just wanted it to be said during the podcast. They're going to be released on Fridays. You
Fridays
can
on
get 'em
YouTube.
on YouTube, and eventually we hope to move this over to audio only as well for the people that don't have the luxury of having a job where they can watch YouTube.
I think that some of the reason is that also some of the earlier episodes we were talking over each other too much, which is something you can tolerate if you're looking at everybody. But if you can only hear it, that makes it impossible to continue to listen. So
sense.
I just didn't want to put those out. So as we get going, you can listen to them and go, oh, I can actually, that's actually coherent, sort of.
We don't want people to get confused and think they're on CNN.
Right.
No, but let me talk to you about gun control, sir.
We're the only podcast whose goal is to be semi-coherent.
Yeah.
while getting stoned and or drunk to prove to the norms that it can be done.
That just made me realize we should have called it, instead of Issues with Andy, we should have called it Low Bar.
Well, yeah.
We already got one of those in the White
right.
House.
Maybe not. Oh, look at him getting political.
Hey,
Oh.
but let me talk to you something, sir. He's a successful businessman.
I'm just going to talk over you while you talk, because then we can be exactly
It's the
like
mainstream
CNN.
media that hates
Well,
Trump.
that's what you're saying, but you know what? If anyone would just listen
they're
to
out
me.
to get him. They're out to get him.
Mitch McConnell's a good American.
Ooh, Moscow, Mitch, of course.
Moscow, Mitch.
If
I
Roy
love
Moore
that
says Ilhan Omar needs to go back to from whence she came, I stand with him.
How do those guys just, throwing politics aside, if you just saw Mitch McConnell at the steakhouse, wouldn't you feel compelled to go up and jab him in the neck with a fork?
Yes.
See if a fucking alien pops out? It's like, oh, my bad. I just was sure he was an alien. This shit's just too evil for one human in a meat suit. How could
Yeah,
that
and
be?
he does
has a-
look.
He has a
He does-
waxy complexion.
Yeah.
Very,
I'll bet his school pictures, like his senior, I'd like to see what his senior pictures look like. To see, because you can't. It just seems like you couldn't grow into that without it being like, there's some wax and shit involved with that creation. But
Yeah,
God,
he looks like an old bag of goo.
I used to like scams and shit, but this fucking, politics is. There's a lot of people been scamming in that business for years, but now it's just like, they don't even make an effort to fucking do a good grift. It's like, no, you just did that. We saw you do it. It's like, okay, well, they should make it legal then. No, well, fuck you. It's, grifts are fun. They should be clever.
it's not even that. It's like, I don't care.
Right.
You're not supposed to. No, I don't care. At least
And
the public forum would at least shame you into trying to at least come out and apologize. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my brother Larry used to just give you like 5 lies. Where'd you take the truck? Why, it's all dented up and shit. He'd give you 2 or 3 scenarios, and you knew they were all probably bullshit. But if you put the 3 together, you'd piece together maybe a timeline and shit. But it's like he shouldn't even done the second and third lies. Like, fuck it, man. Just go with the first one, and when you get called on it, say, you're getting your information wrong. Who are you getting your information from? They're liars or whatever. It's like,
That's their response to it all is, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, well, we're looking right at you doing it. No, you're not. It's fake.
Yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to at
Fuck
some point feel bad when you get called on being a liar instead of just going, okay. Yeah. All right.
This is the first time that I feel grateful that I'm alienated from this conversation. I haven't watched the news in fucking 20 years probably. I know a little bit from fucking what's trending on Twitter, and I only read half of that, and I don't give a fuck either.
Well, let me
way.
tell you, a lot of your buddies are glad to be back from Nam.
old do you think I am?
It's a lot less Kennedys than you think.
20 years ago was it not?
Jesus, Andy.
20 years ago was what? That was invasion of Iran or Iraq.
Yeah.
What was it?
That was about the
Y2K
time when
is
I
an issue.
realized
It wasn't.
the
I think it was the invasion of the Thompson twins.
Dude, totally
It's when-
underrated.
It's
Hold
when
me now,
MTV
right
stopped playing music. I
I
stopped watching TV. I
And
said, "That's
things
it. I'm
got
done."
real.
Yeah. Well, you might have noticed the temperature's getting warmer out there, Chad. Yeah. No, it's good.
I live in Arizona. It's always been warm here.
It's cool. You can just binge watch it right at the end.
Yeah, why? I just make my world as small as possible, and then it keeps me least crazy. You think that if I watched the news every day, I wouldn't have already assassinated motherfuckers? Do you not know who I am? I have to not watch the news purposefully every fucking day.
Yeah, you're like a racehorse. We keeping it stable until we need you to come out and do something. You know, like just keep him in here, give him some hay. You know, make him nice and comfortable. Pet him on the neck every once in a while.
Don't go in there. He'll kick you in the head. Do not
Once
go
the
in
time comes, everybody just forces me into a room. Watch this, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Watch this.
You know who kept it local like that? Sling Blade.
One of my heroes. And his name is Carl. God damn it. Sling Blade is the name of the movie. His name is Carl.
Yeah, you didn't see Sling Blade tensing up watching the CNN. I hate Wolfenblitzer. I hate him. Information's wrong. It's Wolf Blitzer. He's probably Wolf Blitzer retired 10 years ago. Is Andy Rooney still a journalist? What the fuck, man?
Wait, is Andy Rooney still alive?
No, he's dead.
Did he?
Dead
All right.
for a long time.
Hey, I got involved locally. I drove down. This was a week ago, or when we were supposed to podcast last time. Interesting. There was a dead possum on the road, and I know we talked about that before. Well, we talked about possums in my thing, and I killed that one, and this one was dead on the road. I was sure. I honked, nothing. You know, honked again, nothing. And then I noticed a lady was upset, so I honked the third time. Still no.
Wait, you hit a lady?
No, she was at her porch or doing some planting. She didn't like my honking, but I wanted to make sure the possum was dead. So then I drove on, and I came back several hours later. The possum was still there, and it bothered me. Like, man, that's fucking disrespectful. Like, somebody should clean that possum up, or, you know. So and then I drove on past it, and then I saw a free box of stuff, and one of the things was a napkin, a fancy napkin. One nice linen white napkin. So I took it back and I covered up the possum like a decent thing, man. It's like it's a dead creature and I don't want to see its fucking face. And I think I know why I don't like clowns. It has to do with possums. Anyway, I covered up that screaming clown dead on the road, and I covered him up, and then I came back 10 minutes later and it was cleaned up. So
well, I mean, but the mere fact that you covered it with that napkin meant that it was an active crime scene.
Well,
so that when a police officer drove by, he could do, by law, he has to process the scene. Andy, you did your civic duty. That was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, well, and I think maybe somebody was like maybe looking for a cat or something and went over there going, "Oh no, Mr. Whiskers," and then relieved, and then but it got cleaned up. So if you want it roadkill cleaned up, just give them a proper crime scene setup.
The only problem with that is if the police look at the crime, they know that if you cover up the body, that means you were one of the family or you were close to this individual that you clearly murdered. So,
I put a rose in its mouth, so obviously it wasn't safe.
Andy destroyed its genitals before covering it up.
Well, I think it would have been great, Andy, if you circled it with chalk as well. That would have been a nice touch.
Yeah. And I didn't kill it. I wasn't up that early, but I suspect that I suspect the car in front of me because I was the second person down the hill.
Oh shit.
Them critters are fucking worthless.
While you're telling that story, all I could picture, I just was wishing that I was a cartoonist as somebody could animate this story of Andy walking down in a cartoon and finding this possum and
flapping out
no,
the napkin
I
and
was
fading down
driving
slowly.
because I got to get to this. Now there's another person who knows when to get to the day old scones. At 7, I get there at 7, and there's some old dude with nothing better to do than to be there at 7 in the morning.
That's exactly what he's saying too when he sees you.
I was there first, and I'm like, and the dude even dresses like me, but he's older and fucking, what a dick. And
I think what we've just realized is the donut shop set up a mirror.
It's like me in 10 years going, and I see me in 10 years going, fuck, I'm still gonna be doing this shit.
This
Surely,
old guy was dressed like a dick too.
Yeah, and he's like, you should have killed yourself 17 years ago. I know, but I want scones still. But they only put one pack out, so now if I get there late, so yeah, I drive. I ain't chancing it on foot.
Oh man.
It seems like you're resourceful enough, Andy, in these kinds of situations, these kind of capers, that you would figure out a way that they would have to lay out more than one scone.
No, I got you. Follow that guy home and arrange for his tires to be flat on the scone days. Arrange for it.
These cones, between
Arrange
costing the life of a possum and this guy's flat tires, these cones seem to be expensive.
I think I'll just call on my friend, the guy who wears dark clothes, commits crimes, and then switches up to a backpack and running gear. Super alter ego. Yeah, I got you, Shaylee. Seems like well. The thing is, he'll be expecting it. He knows he ran into him from 10 years earlier, and what a cunt he is.
Yeah, you need an alibi.
It'll be the same wife. It'll be like, and she'll be the same 10 years from now as she is now. It'll be like, oh, shit.
We're running into a time travel thing like Terminator.
It has something to do with them scones.
Oh, sure, they're the linchpin.
We both like them, and that's
Skynet scones, same number of letters, right there.
We both like them, and that's really the only thing we have in common. Day old scones and my daughter. That's it.
So what you're saying is that the older guy dressed like a dick that is going for scones is the future you that has already time traveled and is coming back to get another scone to try to time travel back to 2019.
But they're gonna
fix the shit he fucked up.
I don't think unless he vacuum seals those scones, he's gonna get 10 years ahead of me and go, these are fucking worthless. They're all crumbs and shit.
He can't interact with his past self, so he's figured out a way to prevent Andy from taking a horrible course in life by fucking just taking the fucking last scone and making Andy fucking leave. But Andy won't take the hit, man. He's gonna push the issue and fuck himself over.
I'm hoping one morning when I'm really stoned waiting for the door to open, that guy will just curb jump and run me over and disappear himself and leave them scones to somebody who has something better to do than be there at 7 in the morning.
Both bodies are gone, a spinning hubcap, and a bag of scones.
Yeah. No bodies, nothing. The car's gone too.
Clean.
Yeah. In the first scenario, Andy eats the last scone, chokes on it while driving, and then veers off the road and hits a little kid and kills him. But this guy's got it fixed enough that now it's only a possum.
He could try to talk to me about saving money for the future, but I'll bet he knows that's useless.
Erickson, I was with you, but then I thought at the end a possum could come out and flap out a white napkin and lay it across Andy's face.
He could bring a dead possum back.
For dignity.
He could bring a dead possum back from the future and reconfigure it. Also, he could travel with cheese curds without vacuum sealing it, he'd just have to remold them when he got there.
I'm already on part 2 of this movie where Andy's reincarnated as a possum.
Uh-huh.
Possum man,
We got a whole franchise here, fellas.
Well, I definitely think that the fact that the possum was once a child is the reason why Andy somehow knows he needs to go back and put a napkin over it and cover it.
Well, why
because
would
he's got some sort of deep cosmic connection to that life,
Oh,
he sees it somehow, but it's still all fucked up because
I would say
old Andy didn't quite solve the scones problem.
I don't know.
The guy giving away free napkins was the child's father. He would have had to witness that accident, right?
Oh, so sad.
Maybe that's where future me lives, just down the hill on the flat part. He finally caved in and goes, "Yeah, I'll move to the flat part so you can walk around." It's fucking flat in the driveway. Anywho's, don't go blind.
Oh, geez.
I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but
hey, I know, but why do I think of clowns when I see a possum?
That was
never molested by a clown, but I did engage in risky behavior with the clown. And I think it was mutually fun for both of us.
Nobody was playing possum.
Safeway, Oregon and Washington have Safeway stores, and we had a clown named Zizo who took us for buggy rides. And I don't want to say he was drunk, but he did smell, and as an adult now, I bet he was drinking. He seemed to be a little bit jovial for a clown. And he would
that is part of their job, though, right, Andy? I mean,
it's a card
can't be mad at a flower for smelling pretty, right?
Yeah, he basically had a little meet and greet merch table. He gave you, I guess he didn't sell anything except his soul, but he gave you a little corporate card that says, "Say please and thank you" from Safeway, and a picture of him and his dune buggy. His little clown. It was like a clown dune buggy, small, and he'd take kids for rides around, and
it's like a dune buggy go-kart.
Yeah. I'll send you a picture of him. That was the only positive time I ever was around a clown. Every time after that, it's just been a shit show, invasion of my space, fucking creepy motherfuckers. But when I see a dead possum, I immediately think of some of them interactions with clowns.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I would say that you haven't had your epiphany yet. You're getting closer toward it, though. You're working toward it. We
just
still
hope
haven't
it's on a
unearthed this
Wednesday
connection.
afternoon.
I'm thinking of going to Berkeley and doing some of that fancy new hallucinogenic and get it all sorted out. If we can monetize this. We're broke here. I don't even have really money for this. Right here.
Speaking of depression and hallucinogenics and all of that, I went camping this weekend for about 4 days riding my motorcycle, and I took about a nice, almost a half ounce of mushrooms probably, just in case. And it never came to fruition to partake. We're riding motorcycles all the time, so it was never a good idea.
I'll mountain bike behind you next time.
I came home. Well, that's the shitty part about next time. I came home and grabbed my bag and threw all my laundry into the washing machine. A couple hours later, Jenny comes and goes, "What did you wash?" Washed a whole fucking bag of mush. I just threw it right in the fucking garbage. I was so upset.
I've washed about 3 8-balls. Not at once.
To be fair, it may have been. To be fair, it may have been drywall.
Sorry,
yeah, it could have been chalk.
Drywall.
Yeah, well, and then the one time I found it though, it was the Seahawks. I think the next time the Seahawks played in the Super Bowl, and I wore that Seahawks shirt that I wore in Belize or Costa Rica, and I brought back some below.
What?
I did, yeah. It was in. I had it in that jersey. Had a pocket in that jersey, and there was blow in it. I was
so
kind
you
of
accidentally brought it back.
It's as illegal to bring blow into America from Costa Rica as it is to have it in Costa Rica.
right. Well, I was calm and cool through customs because I had no idea I had it, and then I didn't come down to the Super Bowl party. I just was here at my house where it's
Sure, you had blow.
where it's no fucking fun on any day, but Super Bowl Sunday's no different than the next Tuesday fun. But I put on that Seahawks shirt just because, and it's like, oh, I'm having a party. My dog playing fetch with the football. Had some little wiener snacks, and then I found that cocaine. So I was like, well, this is gonna improve a lot, and I just did all the bumps, still tried to, make the most of it, but yeah, I'm a dope smuggler now too.
Successful. One and done. You quit. You already quit.
Well, I'd look to do it again,
That's how you get caught.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to know neither. Because then you got plausible, most of those guys ruin it for themselves on Dateline by a bad interview. That's what I would rehearse before anything. Is like, oh shit, she went missing. What?
Wait, you found what in my ass?
Right.
There was drugs in my ass.
Wait a minute. Andy said he was going to rehearse for something. He had a chance to do a show for HBO, and he didn't rehearse for that.
I rehearsed for the one anyway. I was desperately rehearsing. I just had to write the whole fucking thing because they removed half of it, or they removed 3/4 of it, and they left me with one dangling chunk and said, "Oh, what if you built around the military shit they heard on my disc?" And I did that, and they go, "We fucking loved it." And then the new HBO guy was the guy who won all them veterans awards, and I start off with anti-military shit. Granted, my performance was flat because I just fucking was on the phone with Doug going, "How about this?" And like, I just, I wish I had another half a day. Rouse gave me great advice, Sean Rouse, because we went to the strip club and did drugs the night before because we're in New York, and Rouse, I got to go back and write this shit, Rouse. Now that I'm amped up, and he goes, fuck it. He goes, just do what you want to do, but he goes, put the rape bit at the end. That way they can edit around it. And I did do that, but I had to, yeah. Anyway, it's up on YouTube. It's up on my preferred channel, YouTube.
By that story, totally Doug's fault.
Yeah.
Totally
No.
You're right.
He was on the phone helping me. I was a fucking wreck because because when I went there, they go, the Rape Baby was okay, the Walmart, all this dumb shit, and they crossed it all off the 2 nights before and said, so I basically had nothing approved, and then, so I was scrambling for sure. I sucked. It's horrible. Yeah.
But it's up on YouTube if you want to see it. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's right
Good
there
commercial,
for you.
Andy. Good commercial.
So, Andy, how did your gig do? You did something. What was it? The North Bar?
Yeah, North Bar.
You went to Chicago with Junior Stompton, right? How'd that go?
Yeah. Oh, great. I mean, it was a lot of people came to see me specifically, and Jim was happy. Drinks were sold. Me and Junior got a nice buzz on.
I think Junior texted me something about he got 86'd from his bar or a bar.
Yeah, he wanted to have me go play the hipster bar afterwards. And then there was a hubbub with Junior. I was just getting ready to introduce myself to the hipster lady that ran the room or whatever. I don't know. Junior says they're hipsters. I'll take his word for it. They all seem to be young and positive, so I'm sure that's probably hipster-esque. And I was just getting ready to say something, and then Junior needed Maggie, and then Junior couldn't get a drink.
Maggie is Junior Stopka's girlfriend.
Yeah, so she could drink there. That was fine, but Junior was not allowed, and it had something to do with something that happened before I got there, a week
for
before.
once.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I'm comfortable. I just, when people throw me out, I just try to, like, I'd be good in the Old West. I'd roll with the throw out, like I wouldn't go to, I'd be like a stunt man. I wouldn't need a stunt man. I'd just shoulder down, head, cartwheel, try to land up on my boots and keep,
Try to land by the next bar.
and keep walking like like you do when you fall skiing and you try to, your gear comes off and you stay upright. That's what I try to do. And if a friend gets thrown out of a bar, I'm thrown out too. I wouldn't be like, oh, okay, well, all right then, Junior, I'll catch up to you later. So we got caught. Yeah. So, and it was there was an argument. They argue, Junior and Maggie had a heated discussion about it. And then we went somewhere else and drank, and it was fine. I didn't want to do. He goes, no, I fucking hate you. I was like, oh, okay, great. I need that. I got Baker and Bend, Oregon coming up. I don't need extra hay. I don't need to.
Oh, you're doing the big Baker Bend run?
Not even a run, two separate things. And
More of a jog.
John Mink had set up a LeGrand gig, but unfortunately he played it a month earlier. So they wrote a respectful letter saying, I'm not welcome to perform there by association with us. Like, what? And he's like, I'm too edgy for him. And okay.
He was so bad he got comedy fired from that club.
Yeah, it's a real respectful letter.
They're not going to do comedy anymore. That's what happened, right?
Yeah. Well, they're not going to do comedy that's associated with Minking in Company. Oh. And he tagged me up in, like, he was my handler in the LeGrand gig, like he was in Alaska. So I won't be doing that run, but probably getting one or two beatings in Eastern Oregon should be good. And then I got hitting the open road and doing Texas shit.
Oh, are you going to be out with Jay Whitecotton, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Great.
Oh,
Actually, fucking awesome.
Yeah. And I'm headlining the Velveeta Room, which has always been a dream of mine.
Well, until they get a letter firing.
Yeah. Let me send you John's headshot.
So, Andy, how do people find out where you're going to be and what you're doing?
I have a website. I
think that just happened, Shaylee.
Well, it was hijacked. Inman was in charge of my website, so I didn't want to deal with my webmaster because he was a real difficult citizen.
All you need to do, Andy, is post links to those shows on Twitter.
Yeah, so I'll be posting them on Twitter, and I have a website, which I'll post it on Twitter, and you can follow that shit if you're all tech savvy like me. You notice my headphones are plugged in, and you
did great
out of the box. Week. Andy was actually before he used to just put the box of headphones on his head until emails.
I've got to say that Andy's Chicago story, he left one little piece out, but that made me very proud.
What's that?
And that is that my son, who lives about a quarter of a mile away from North Bar, went to the show, said it was great, loved it, hung out afterwards, drinking, did a couple shots, and then that's when Junior said, hey, let's go to this other bar, and everyone was getting in the car, and my son said, nah, I'm within walking distance of my house. I'm going to fucking cruise on home. And then the next thing we hear is that Junior got thrown out of the next bar, and they all had to leave.
Yeah. No one could get a drink but
just
Maggie.
Stayed at North Bar the whole time.
And there was a guy.
Where you performed. That's the key. Where you performed is where you should continue to drink, right, Erickson? Talk to your master.
Oh, he's right. And this happened too. There was a guy, and don't be that guy who waits too long thinking you're that guy. If you're that guy, move along quickly. But if you're not that guy and you just think you might be that guy, and there's a difference between you and that other guy. Drugs. If you got drugs and you go, oh, I had coke. I just was waiting. I didn't want to be that guy who interrupted. I was talking to weird fucks maybe, and the guy. So yeah, I could have walked to Erickson's son place and invited a couple of the people from the show and done drugs. Instead, I went to a bar where I was 86 and then fell in.
I'm not saying you should have gone to my son's.
No.
House.
I mean,
heaven forbid, don't do that.
No,
what I'm saying is you could have just stayed at North Bar, which is a great place to hang out in the nice neighborhood.
Yeah, well, that was
cheap beer and drinks and nice people.
I trusted Junior on that one, and Junior maybe was a little buzzed and thinking, let's go shove Andy down their throats after what happened to him the week before, and see what happens. So I think I don't know. It was I agree. I should have stayed there, but I made up and I went over to Erickson's son's house a couple days later, and he was like, "Wow, you don't have anything better to do?" Fuck no, I don't.
Eventually, Andy sent me a picture of my son sitting in the chair outside, head down, nodded down, passed out finally, and Andy next to him, like. So Andy won. Andy won in the end.
Yeah, something about having a full-time job just wears people out, no matter what age they are. Yeah, poor kid. I felt bad for him.
He'll learn. He'll learn. He's young.
I kept going, where's the cameras at? This is the real world or something. I mean, they live in a really cool place. There's like 5 dudes, right? Or 4 dudes.
Yeah, it's my son and the same 4 guys he lived with all through college at the University of Iowa have a house in Chicago. It's fucking stupid.
So they split 2 chicks. Yeah, I met a couple of them.
It is like real world Chicago there though, meets Jersey Shore, whatever, just fucking 5 single guys fucking around. It's a huge place.
So it must be super cheap.
It's just big. There's there's bedrooms for everybody. So it's like $4,000 or $5,000, but they're all paying $1,000.
Jesus.
And the house is huge. It's got a full, it's
got
huge.
An upper deck, party place.
Got a patio, got everything. So
hey, we should book a comedy show there.
They've got enough room for a ping pong table.
Yeah. Well, we could book a show there. If he said something about it, and Junior's like, I told Junior, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll do a show."
Do a backyard show. That's funny.
Yeah.
That would be a good setup for one. Actually, they do have the spot.
Mm-hmm. Boom.
All right. What else?
Now nobody's talking over anybody.
We've hit a low.
Our official.
You guys. I tweeted some from this weekend from my motorcycle trip. I stopped at this bar. We were in a town in northern Arizona. I looked it up. 148 people. I think everybody there owned at least 2 Trump signs. So there was about 350 Trump signs in a town of 148 people. That's in the middle of nowhere for nobody to see but their neighbors.
Who also have Trump signs.
Yeah.
Oh yes, definitely. And it was interesting. Although we went to the bar there, and that was when I first tweeted about it. I says I was drinking in this bar for exactly 2 minutes. And this old man just told me a nigger joke. And I was like, this is... people are very comfortable in whatever the fuck they believe here.
Yeah, they're probably related to half of them. There's a separation,
The sad thing is that I got to see, because at first it makes you kind of angry that people are ignorant, and then you kind of look at it deeper and you're like, well, if I lived my entire life in this town, if pine trees and fucking trout fishing a mile away, and there might be 100 elk in your yard in the morning when you wake up, and I wouldn't have read a book in my entire life either. So you can see where this happens. You know what I mean? Where it's and it makes you kind of sad because they were really nice people to me. Because I was white.
Well, maybe they're not, but a lot of small towns, they listen to the radio, it gets them fired up. Maybe you're describing a town that's like those Aborigines where they haven't seen human, like they just pass racism down generation to generation.
Amazon tribe.
Yeah.
The
internet.
The second thing that I tweeted out was a picture of a sticker inside the urinal. As Jane Fonda's urinal sticker, it said on it. It had a picture of Jane Fonda. So, wow. And somebody had applied it. That's a sticker from fucking the 70s. Yeah. And somebody had applied it recently. It hadn't been in there since the 70s, I guarantee you.
Well,
inside
until that.
the urinal so you can pee on it.
So yeah. So you
Right.
piss on Jane Fonda, right? It was that.
Still
sort of,
angry. 50 years later.
At least
No,
put
it
Ted
was-
Turner in the other one or something. It'd be funny.
He's in the
well,
shit.
Yeah.
the
Ted's
sec-
mouth.
the second night we were there, that night we got pretty lit up and we're just checking it all out and feeling it out and everything. And the second night we got in there, I was pretty fucked up already. And apparently I started a Twitch stream from my phone in there. And it was describing the bar. And there was these two Mexican guys on the side that were in town doing construction that were just fucking eyes all big. Like, what? This place is fucking crazy. And I immediately called out the bartender as having to be in, he would be the most good-looking guy at the gay bar. People would go crazy for this bartender, and the bar just fucking went dead silent. Everybody fucking hated me. We were just obnoxious. We were obnoxious like that the whole night until everybody left intentionally. It was like I don't know, what do they call that? A peaceful fucking aggression, passive aggressive.
Be afraid of saying the wrong thing there, like, that elderly black gentleman. Whoa, we don't call them. Whoa, you talking about that, sir?
Yeah, that's ageist and racist.
There was a restaurant there that we'd go eat at, and in the morning it was really full, and you'd walk in and there's a bunch of people had printed off memes from the computer that are like pro-Trump memes, and they're just all tacked all over the wall when you walk in. And then you go in, and immediately to the right is the bathrooms, and above the bathroom there's a picture of a lion and an arrow pointing to it, and it says African lion. And on the other side there's a picture of Obama, and it says Lion African.
Of course.
And I was like, man, this is fucking crazy fucking place. And
It's like you're in the
So-
Midwest.
yeah,
You could take a Sambo's restaurant, put it on a truck, and haul it out. The last Sambo's, and deliver it. It'd be the hottest. It'd be like a
Oh shit.
grand opening. People would be lined up around the block.
Like Krispy Kremes.
Yeah.
But so there's a sign there that says, please seat yourself. And that's what we had been doing when we ate there before. But this time it was a line when we got in there. It was full. So we had to wait for tables, and there was a line to get in. But in the meantime, you're all huddled up here in front of the bathrooms. So we're all standing. So we had to move for a woman to come by to go to the bathroom at one point. And then pretty soon this other old man comes in, and he says, all of a sudden he's sitting there for a little while, then all of a sudden he taps me, and I turn around and he goes, hey, are you guys waiting to shit? And I go, and I look at the bathroom, and I move out of the way, and I go, no, we're waiting to sit down, sir. And then he just looked at me, and then he goes, well, it says sheet yourself. I was over here yesterday, and I just took a sheet wherever I wanted. And at that point, I realized that he had a speech impediment. He was not asking
You're
me
saying seats.
to let him into the bathroom. He was asking me if I was waiting to sit. I felt like a fucking asshole. you waiting to sit? No, we're waiting to sit down.
Yeah. And then not only that, he's like, you think I would call it shit? You know, like, are you waiting to shit?
He was, but
I mean, I know he would have.
He was a
But
local, yeah.
but
So
that's
definitely
the-
that was perfectly in line.
Yeah, that's the real insult, though, you know?
Yeah.
Of course he'd ask you.
As awful as those fucking gross creatures are, it's kind of it's like the record store. Enjoy those fucking, pure white trash, hate-filled, dipshits while they're around, because they're, well, they're dying skin cancer-wise because they don't ever put sunscreen on. That's one. And cancer from their diets and their anger and all that's eating them up. So we're going to lose out, and then we're going to have to hire those people to be the local town folk, so the rich people coming in buying up the properties can still get like Kenny's going to be in high demand. He'll be a character actor to add character to towns and shit.
Well, and to caretake all the Airbnbs. That's all those cabins should just be turned into Airbnbs so that we can all go up there and enjoy the country.
The 100 elk on your lawn.
Well, yeah, I hear Danny Bonaducci's ex-wife just opened an Airbnb in Bisbee, and Bill, who's coming out for my taping, is just grabbed onto that. There you go. A little tidbit. If you listen to both podcasts, Danny Bonaducci's ex-wife lives in Bisbee now.
Gretchen, and she just opened the Greenway House, which is I think 10 rooms, reasonably priced, right here in Warren. But
not the artist Gretchen.
No.
Oh, okay.
Bonaducci.
You know, when I stay at the Greenway House, I always take my Saks underwear along because I know that's the kind of place that I'm going to feel comfortable wearing my best underpants.
And drinking a chilada.
You know who would look good in Saks? David
Don't
Cassidy.
forget your Spite Spice.
I just realized I don't have any. I don't actually have
Nothing.
highlighters. Highlight your life.
I have CDs right here. They're old.
But only because
Wait.
he's been listening to him to remember his bits.
Is that,
For the taping.
that's not the one you were pitching free on YouTube earlier, is it?
No. That you can get free, but that's just a sample. But if you want the rest of it, it's available through whatever funding shit. I don't know. What are
Way to
they?
get a handle on your merch.
PayPal, Andrist Entertainment. PayPal me money. I need money to get to Texas and drugs to get to Texas. And I'll do them right before I get to Texas because you don't want to have drugs in Texas.
No, Texas is horrible.
Beyond drugs in Texas, just don't have them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That
Lone Wolf McQuaid
you're talking
was not-
about you're talking about the Altercation
Yeah,
Fest in
yeah.
Austin in
Yeah.
late September, where we'll
Sep-
be.
September 25th to the 28th. I think you guys are doing either the 26th or maybe even the 25th.
And
We're
doing
Friday night.
And we're doing a semblance of this. Well, you're calling in, right? You won't be there,
We're
Mr.
gonna do
Shaley.
we're gonna do the podcast on Saturday.
So the
So we'll have to
27th
have
is
Shaley
Friday.
on Skype, and the rest of us will be together
That's right.
with a group of fabulous guests, because we'll have who will we have there? We'll have lots of people.
Everybody.
There. Everybody.
Not Mishka. Well,
Mishka
Mishka-
Shavali will be there. Mishka
Yeah,
Shavali.
we could have Mishka. He's just, you know,
Christine
I don't want to. I
Levine.
don't want Inman to get all jelly. And, you know, I'd have Mishka on if we
Wait.
could have him shirtless, and
Like,
he'd be comfortable.
you
being
don't want
shirtless.
him to get all jelly. Does that mean you will directly at him in tweets that taunt him like you've
I
been
did,
doing?
but I took him down. No, I have not been.
No, you've been good.
Yeah.
You've been a good boy.
And I
Andy.
still and I will stand by that tweet about that they just added Sean Ross hologram to the lineup.
I was talking about more recently when you've been on a tirade.
No,
of fucking
I don't
with
even
Inman
know.
on there.
No, not really. I you know, I don't have Adderall,
Dude,
so I don't
there was
tweet
literally ones like, "Hey, too bad you're not going to fucking Austin." That was literally like they weren't even subtle.
Yeah. God damn it.
much. Well, I'm gonna go yell at him at Trader Joe's for a job I didn't apply for that somebody's filled.
Andy.
He was mad about not being invited to something he never asked to be invited to, and never auditioned or, you know, I mean, some comics.
Eventually, the fire will put itself out. That's the way I've been dealing with him, just because I just don't have time to deal with him. So
we didn't start.
I'm gonna, yeah, it's always been burning.
Don't look at Andy's timeline then.
I'm glad I don't know. I guess
I don't want to. I don't want to know.
I'm glad I don't know that many Buddhists, because man, they're a fucking handful.
They sure are angry and ranting.
Well,
a
they're
lot.
angry and possessive and jealous. You know, it's just they're a lot like born again Christians. Your average Buddhist is, you know, it's like, wow, this guy is a fucking.
If he's a representation. If he was the only Buddhist you knew, you'd be like, what the fuck?
I think he might be the only Buddhist, though. I'm assuming they're all fucking hot trigger assholes that you don't answer the phone. My phone does not work. I have a phone. It looks like the bat phone, and a lot of the wires are all gummed up, and Inman calls on that line, and I'll say, hello, James, and then it will go right to voicemail or whatever. And I feel bad about it, and I'm getting the phone fixed.
Plausible.
But you know what makes waiting for the phone guy a more comfortable wait? Sitting in my Saks underwear with a fan directed at me, waiting for that Hispanic gentleman, that elderly Hispanic gentleman, to come through the door and go,
they don't come in unless they're invited, Andy.
Those are vampires. The Hispanics will come and clean.
Tomato.
The vampires try to come in. The Hispanics paint your front.
One time, a Hispanic gentleman knocked on my door and presented that he wanted to clip a couple of hydrangeas. And I thought, sure, man, take a couple of hydrangeas. And I come back around, and there's a crew stripping all my hydrangeas of every fucking flower of it. And I didn't give an okay on that. It was back. That was back before Trump. Well, if I had that going on in my yard now, I'd go, hey, here comes ICE or whatever, and scatter them. But I was like, I could not stop them. They were diligent. They were going to strip them bushes whether I was out there yelling at them or not. And I was like, well, my wife's going to be upset about this.
Were they selling them on the street corner by the cemetery or something?
But I just talked to 10 years from now me at a muffin place, and he just told me that the hydrangeas are only the beginning of it, man. Check back with me. You're just starting to listen to some Bryan Adams music right now. I don't know. He's playing Matthew Knight Arena, and I could go to his concert, but I am opting out. The rebel in me and the rebel in him don't match up no more.
Well, that cuts like a knife. What a show we've had here today, gentlemen.
Yeah. I'll bet I ain't going to get no soccer mom sex after my show neither. Not like the summer of '69, boy.
Any other final thoughts?
Get on DougStandUp.com and check out the tour dates. Get on the mailing list. We're still adding dates, but we're basically about 6 weeks of touring coming up, and it all starts off on the 8th in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Chad, you're resubscribed to Chad's Twitch channel.
Yeah, subs are down on Twitch for sure. So resubscribe on there. Go to my Twitter at HDFatty and see the pinned tweet. That's the easiest way to describe it.
All right. Listen to and subscribe to
I got something to plug.
You already plugged Bendon Baker. You got more than that.
Bendon Baker left, let's see, Diversity Club, September 6th in Forest Grove, Oregon. Diversity Club and catering. I'll be catering my show to the diversified crowd at the Diversity Club, September 6th. And then September 14th, Lefties in Baker City, Oregon. My brother did a little stint of prison in Baker City, so I'm anxious to see some of his old stomping grounds.
You may end up seeing his old cell.
Yeah. Or maybe Larry will go over with me. We could get, I don't know if methadone's a great traveling drug.
Have a camera. Take a camera with you and film it all if that happens.
Yeah. If Larry was an upper guy, I'd call him.
I get it. I understand that. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We love you. Listen, subscribe, Issues with Andy, and we'll see you next week.